Hello and welcome to the Prospect Blueprint. I'm Kelly Kleiman, and my esteemed podcast partner, as always, is Mr. Rick Dempsey, 24-year veteran of the MLB Wars. He was a catcher with the Twins, the Yankees, the Brewers, the Indians, the Dodgers, and, of course, the Baltimore Orioles. And he was also the 1983 World Series MVP. Rick, how you doing? What's going on with you?
I'm doing great, Cal.
The warehouse, how's that going?
Excited again. Your record is on the line again. Every guy that we have interviewed has been spectacular. Fish! Yeah,
no
the
pressure.
Pressure's on, man, Nate.
Yeah.
The pressure's on, but I'm sure you're going to be just as good as all the rest.
Well, today's guest has been part of what I consider the most exciting advancement of baseball since its inception. Sadly, it comes around only every 4 years. I prefer it vastly to the Olympics. I'm talking about the World Baseball Classic, which provides us with the most exciting baseball in the world, and I really believe this. The energy levels are off the charts in some of those games, and if you haven't been to a game, you have 2 years to prepare. Nate Fish is the CEO of Israel Baseball America and new manager of Team Israel. Nate previously worked as the pitching coach last year with the club and first base coach back in 2017 is that the original? No, it wasn't the original World Baseball Classic. That was back in 2017. He also coached for the Dodgers in 2019 and in the Cape Cod League with the YD Red Sox beforehand. Nate also served as the national director of the Israel Association of Baseball. He's a former player, basically playing every position minus pitcher, and he's a poet. Rick, you didn't know it. I'm sorry, I had to do that.
Hey, join the group. I think I wrote a poem one time, too, about the Orioles at an old ballpark that we used to play in. Anyway,
Nate Fish, welcome.
Good.
Welcome
we got to
to the
get you
show.
published.
Rick,
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, to Michael, for setting this up. Actually, Levine and awesome work. You know, by the way, we have like a 1 or 2 degree separation between all of us because Mark Chardy's a real good friend of mine, and his agent was Rick Dempsey's agent back in the day. And Mark and Mike Levine are really good friends. And Chardy went to Maryland. He's a Terp pitcher. Was a pitcher.
Nice.
Now he pitches shows. Anyway, Rick, you're up.
They're good.
Yeah, Nate, I was wondering, of course, my partner there said you were the CEO of Israel Baseball, but what does it really take to become a manager of a team Israel or a national league team anywhere? Is it like somebody that you know, or is it based on all the things that you've done? How do you get this kind of job?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, international baseball is sort of a weird animal. It's a little different than what you find in professional baseball in the States. I played for the national team for a long time, played for the team till I was 37, and then started coaching the team. And now after Eric Holt, who managed us at the Olympics in 2021 in Tokyo, he resigned. I was coaching third base at the time. I think it was more of like an interim hire. So Holtzy resigned. I kind of stepped in for the next tournament. It was 2 weeks later in Italy, the European Championships in 2021. We kind of scratched together a subpar roster. The guys retired. Everyone was going home to their families. No one wanted to keep going. We had just had this big event in the Olympics. So we got a bunch of teenagers and 40-year-olds together to play in the tournament, and somehow went 5-1, got a silver medal. And so I won my first 5 games as manager, so I'm still hanging on now 2 years later. Still managing the team going into this summer and next summer, 2025. In my case, it's, relationships, known the people running the Israel Association of Baseball for many, many years. I played in Israel for the first time in 2007. There's a professional baseball league in Israel. It only lasted 1 year. But it sort of set this chain of events into motion that are still going now. A lot of us are still involved. Couple World Baseball Classics and the Olympics later, and Israel baseball is sort of on the map, and I've been part of the journey, for 15 plus years now.
Yeah, well, I'm going to combine my next question, 3 questions all at once. who selects the players, and what qualifies a player to be selected to represent a team in the WBC? And when does the selection process take place? I mean
These
it ought to
are
be
good
tough,
questions,
right?
man.
Yeah.
No, you're getting right into like the meat of it, of the process. So Peter Kurz has been our general manager for Team Israel since 2012, the first time we were invited to the WBC. The World Baseball Classic is a little different than the domestic national team. So to play for the national team for any country, you have to have a passport.
Yeah.
You have to be a citizen of the country. To play for a country in the World Baseball Classic, you just have to be eligible for citizenship. So Mike Piazza could, play for Italy. Bo Bichette, I remember in 2016 at the qualifier, was playing for Brazil. He's not Brazilian. His mom is Brazilian, so he's eligible to play for Brazil. It's called the heritage rule. All right. So in the case of Israel, anyone with at least one Jewish grandparent is eligible for Israeli citizenship and therefore is eligible to play for Team Israel. So we were like, oh man, we got a lot of dudes that fit that criteria. We got guys all over the guys that just retired. Sean Green was with us. Jock was with us the first time around when he was still in the minor leagues. So we were like, we can scratch together a really good roster of big leaguers and minor leaguers. And so you just start like digging through. We built out a little scouting department. So there's this thing called Jewish Baseball News. They've been very helpful. They kind of keep track of all the Jewish dudes in professional baseball. We found, this is sort of a funny anecdote. We found Scotty Burcham, who was great for us in 2017. He played shortstop for us. He was in the Rockies organization at the time. Someone found him on Facebook, said, look, his mom's got a Jewish last name, or his mom looks Jewish or something. We ended up hitting him up and hitting up his agent. Turns out, next thing you know, Scotty Burcham's playing shortstop for us in the Tokyo Dome. So it's just a scramble to put these rosters together. And one of the things we're doing now is we're building out a database. So every 4 years, it's not like scramble mode looking for people on Facebook. We have like a consistent rolling database where we're in communication with all the guys. We're helping them out with their own development, whatever they need. So, it's been like a bumpy ride so far, but we're trying to create systems now where it's a little easier.
Yeah, makes sense. I know my kids were contacted by the Filipino team because they look Filipino. Of course, last name's Kleiman. You're wondering, what's that all about? What were your expectations back in 2017 when you got assigned to coach Team Israel? And how did the experience match those expectations?
Yeah, so we had lost in 2012. We were kind of best team on paper at the qualifier in 2012, ended up losing to Spain in the finals, and they went to the tournament. And we were kind of like, oh man, it's over. Like, we're never going to get invited to this tournament again. We kind of blew it. I ended up moving to Israel after that tournament for 3 years, got Israeli citizenship, played for the national team, worked as executive director for Israel baseball for that chunk between 2012 and 2016. We were lucky to get an invite again in 2016 to try and qualify, won the qualifier this time, and then went to Korea to the Gochek Sky Dome for the first round of the tournament. And people didn't give us a shot at all. We were like by far the worst ranked team there. But internally, Jerry Weinstein was managing the team, and he's like a super like nut the way he prepares. We'd have these long meetings, really good advanced reports. And we were kind of like, I think we can win these games. Our guys genuinely were like, we're better than people think we are. And like we like the matchups, and like we can get them out this way and this way. And I swear, just through that preparation, the guys started believing it. And we just rolled through the first round, went 3-0, won $1 million, beat that Netherlands team that had 5 big league shortstops on it. Didi was DHing and Bogarts got moved to third, and, they were stacked. Ended up beating them. Jason Marquis was great for us. I got to give it up to the scouting department and Jerry and the way he prepared. Won the first game against Cuba in the second round, and we were like, shit, we're going to win. We can't lose. We're going to win this whole tournament.
Even Cuba,
right? And then
go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we kind of ran out of steam and played the Netherlands the second time and then played Japan in Tokyo, which was a great experience, but we were just outmatched by that point in the tournament.
Yeah, we're gonna get into a little of the Japanese thing. That's really a major point of interest for myself. But how would you rate the excitement level in some of these games? Now, we know the excitement level in Japan's off the charts, but how would you rate the excitement level in some of these games compared to, let's say, the Mets against the Pirates? And has the thought of an annual World Baseball League gotten any traction in your circles? Because there's so many great players out there that after college, they're gone. I mean, there's a lot in the pros and the minors that aren't even nearly as good as a lot of them that are in the colleges. They're never going to get a shot at it. What's your take on a World Baseball League? I asked this to a lot of people. Everyone seems to think that there's some room for one.
So the excitement around the WBC has gone, up a lot. We were in Miami this time around, and it was like crazy in the stadium at the Marlins Park. It was just electric. We were in a bracket with the Dominican, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, and Nicaragua. So they had tons of fans there. Really, I mean, these teams were like big league all-star teams. Again, we were kind of outmatched. We won a game against Nicaragua, thank God. So we automatically qualify for the next one. But the overall, the excitement for the tournament and the energy at the games has just like gone up every time. And it's really cool to see. As far as the World Baseball League, there's a lot. So I played in Europe for a couple of years, played in Germany 1 year.
Mm-hmm.
So best leagues in Europe are probably Holland, Italy, Germany, and then kind of a little bit of a step down. Czech Republic has been really good lately. They have a decent league. And it was like, can we put a Euro League together? But then it's like, all right, we got to get a TV deal. We got to pay all the guys more. And so just the like logistics of building out a league, I think there is some interest. It's just a matter of, is there enough interest to justify the salaries, the TV deals, the travel, it's just crazy how much goes into it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nate, the national program, it just creates so much excitement because it isn't like an everyday baseball game anymore at the major league level. Your whole country is pulling for you. There's a lot of pressure and everything. What was the biggest win? You were talking about how you got off on a great streak. What was the biggest win for Team Israel in the WBC? And it certainly had a huge impact on the national program. You know that.
Yeah, I think the vibe is much different. It kind of the games are just really stressful all the time. Even in the lower level tournaments like the European Championships, there's something about international baseball. Stress levels are really high. Everyone wants to win. Kind of has that feel of like tournament amateur baseball, but with the best players in the world. I remember Nelly Cruz saying at the last WBC, he said, I would pay to play in this tournament. There was a soundbite of him saying that in the dugout because everyone's just so into it. It's just different than like regular season baseball. What's the biggest win we've ever had? Do you have one in mind specifically? Because there's a bunch that are coming to mind for me.
The third game, maybe, you guys, you won what, 3 or 4 in a row there for a stretch? Probably that third game that you guys were playing in, and I don't even remember what the score was, but it was pretty intense.
Yeah.
Cuba, maybe Cuba?
We beat Cuba. That was the fourth game of the tournament. I'll tell you guys a little bit of a funny story about going into the third game. We had already clinched. So the two teams that were playing were already the two teams that were advancing. Okay. So it was us and the Netherlands. And we were kind of game planning it like, all right, how are we going to pitch this thing? Are we going to put Schlo on the mound and let him go as long as he can? Or are we going to kind of let everyone go an inning and keep everyone on schedule for the next round? And I think the Netherlands team was doing the same thing. And I said to Jerry Weinstein, we were like looking through the rule book of the tournament in the clubhouse a couple hours before the game, and we saw if we win the game, we get $1 million in prize money.
Oh wow!
The loser of the game got $650,000. So we said, all right, we got to win this game.
Wow.
We can't just like space it out. Right?
Insert punchline here.
So there was like a difference of like $350,000. We're like, all right, we got to roll with our dudes and just go and win this thing. Yeah.
Nate, bring us up to date on Israel Baseball America. What is your organization, your team, your mission, and your goals for going forward here?
Yeah, so the Israel Association of Baseball that I've mentioned already is basically a small, like, volunteer organization in Israel, and they're amazing what we've done the last 10 years.
Yeah.
But they just don't have the bandwidth to run a professional baseball organization in the States, where most of the demand for Israel baseball actually is. So it's kind of like you have two options. You can either try to make baseball popular in Israel, or you can just bring Israel baseball to America, where it's already quite popular. And so that's the first thing we're doing. We're giving, players and fans in America a common outlet for their interest in Israel baseball. Programs, media, merchandise, events, all the stuff that we can all kind of rally around. Secondly, we got to keep this pipeline of talent coming into the national team program. Yeah. So we need to provide human and financial resources to the team. So, Varney and Jason and Kins and Ike Davis and, all the dudes that have played for us in the last 10 years, they're all done. Right. And so now we have to find this next generation of guys. So we're also creating, like I was talking about before, all the scouting and player development stuff to hopefully keep the momentum going for the next 10 years and find the next generation of dudes that's going to carry us through these high level tournaments. So that's the idea.
That's interesting to me. We'll have a conversation after this call, I think.
Yeah.
There's some things going on that I'm pushing pretty hard for. And of course, Rick's involved in the Rick Dempsey Baseball Warehouse. We'll talk. Anyway, so let's talk about your playing days.
Cool.
Because we're from the same neck of the woods. And we all know that Shaker Heights Baseball, well, that club probably couldn't hold a menorah candle to the Chagrin Valley high school teams, right? You had Orange and Chagrin Falls, which is pretty. Princeton is pretty good, I guess. But you did field Matt Grenier Gurrier. What is it? Grenier? No, Gurrier. Gary. What's
Gurrier? Weird last name. Gurrier. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah.
Gurrier. So he did make the Twins. So Shaker Heights, like you said, has some pretty good talent on many different levels. Certainly in finance, and certainly I think there have been quite a few entertainers from the area. I actually spent an evening with Matt, as I mentioned to you earlier, but not on the air. After an LA game, the Twins were playing the Angels. We went to I want to say it was somewhere in Century City, some really big hotel. Maybe that's where all the teams that come in that play against Anaheim and the Dodgers stay. What was it like this is the longest freaking lead up for such a small payout that I apologize.
Let's go. I like it. I have no idea what you're going to say.
Put yourself in back when you were 15 years old, and let's say it's March 30th, April 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, and baseball can't even be played because it's freezing cold in Cleveland. What was it like when you got out there and it was still cold? You were probably playing on cement. What was it like to field a ground ball in 25 degrees and try to hit a ball?
Yeah, it was so long ago, and then I ended up playing at the University of Cincinnati, and it was warmer but still cold early in the season. Yeah, it just sucks playing in the cold. Baseball is just not made for cold weather. But we were tough. One of the characteristics I think that you'll find from guys in Northeast Ohio and the North in general, they're tough. They can handle different conditions and stuff. But we had a good high school team. And Matty was just like one of my best friends and favorite teammates ever. He was so special. Never like overpowering, but just really, really good winner. Would always win, find a way to win, throw through pain. I mean, that was the thing back then. Now guys aren't so big on that. But, he would just work and he just loved it. And like, he was just special. And playing behind him was so fun. Always had a really good curveball. And then he led the American League in appearances a couple years. He was a super reliable dude in that era. And I think very soon after he retired, everyone started throwing like 1,000 miles an hour. And I don't know if he wouldn't have fit that profile,
Yeah.
But he was a really reliable dude for a few years and ended up getting a multi-year deal with the Dodgers. That was awesome. So, Matty Gurrier, one of my favorite teammates ever.
It's actually the first time I mispronounced his name. For some reason, I'm thinking Grenier because that Lori Grenier on Shark Tank that I watch all the time.
Oh yeah.
So obviously, you fell in love with baseball. What made you want to be a coach? When did you know that you know what I'm going to be a coach? When did that hit?
Yeah, so I think as soon as I didn't get drafted, probably. But I was always sort of that dude. I really liked the game. I, had pretty good feel for the game. I was not the most talented guy. I kind of always fit the profile of the guy. You're like, that dude is going to be the coach. I caught in college, for example, went there as an infielder. Yeah, right, Rick. Catchers always make
Yes,
good
sir.
coaches, man. It's best people on the field. But Euclid was playing third, so I profiled most naturally probably as a third baseman. Decent catch and throw. Could always defend reasonably well. Didn't hit enough in college, but because I could catch and throw, because Kevin was there, they just threw me behind the plate. And I didn't care. I'd never caught before, but I went back there and learned and did it for 4 years. So I was just that guy that was like really team first, pretty good feel for the game, a lot of energy. So it was sort of a natural fit after college. I wasn't really qualified to do anything else either. All I'd been doing my whole life was playing ball, and moved to New York City to finish school, actually get my degree in creative writing. And started coaching, just working at like an indoor facility doing private lessons. Did that for many, many years. And then slowly started, largely through the door that Israel Baseball opened. Started kind of climbing the ladder of the baseball world a little bit. I was 32 years old, 10 years after college, with no pro experience. The first time I walked into a big league clubhouse when we were at the WBC and Brad was managing the team and Cap was there as bench coach. They're both managing in the big leagues the following year. And they're both still have really, really great jobs, and so I started spending more time with guys in pro baseball and ended up kind of making it there. It just took me a little longer than everyone else. And yeah, that's kind of my weird winding path in baseball. But I think to answer your question, I was always the guy. If you were going to ask my teammates, which one of your teammates is going to end up coaching, they probably would have thought it was me.
Yeah. What's
Right.
it like to put together a staff because now you're the manager? The guys you have to let go or not ask back, and then the guys that you're looking for. What's that process look like?
Yeah, so hiring is really hard. When I was with the Dodgers, really long and like cool hiring process. They're really good at it. But generally speaking, for teams and for companies, hiring is hard. For Team Israel, it's really easy. We got so many good baseball people. If you look at our guys, many of them go from when they transition out of playing. Breslow's GM in Boston, Sammy Folds playing center field for us in 2017. 2 years later, is the GM in Philadelphia. We got dudes all over Major League Baseball and just professional baseball in general. So we have this amazing network of guys that want to contribute. They played for us. So hiring is sort of easy. It's more, like you just said, who isn't going to come? It's not a matter of I need to find five good people or three good people or six good people. It's more of like, where do you draw the line? Who's in for this tournament? Who do you stay in touch with? Maybe we can find this way to use them and then bring them in for another tournament because there's just so many good people in the mix. But, I have to give a lot of credit to Alex Jacobs, our scouting director. He's been with us for years. The way that we prepare for games is really, really good because of him. Josh Zeid is our pitching coordinator and was our pitching coach last year at the European Championships. He's been fantastic. And these guys are all in leadership roles in the new organization, Israel Baseball Americas. So we built out all these departments for them to stay involved because they're just like top of the line baseball people, super smart, committed, trustworthy, just funny, awesome people,
Rickster?
Oh, gee, yeah, yeah. I went out for a second. Yeah, okay. Well, now as a pitching coach, Nate, you got to get these guys ready for the WBC. So what kind of a throwing and strengthening program do you put them on, and when does that start?
Yeah, so Zod as the pitching coordinator is really overseeing the programming. Um, Specifically for the WBC, you don't have that much oversight over the guys. You kind of get them from on loan from their teams, communicate with the farm directors and the organizations. There's a lot of paperwork at the end of the day where you're reporting back to their club and saying like, here's what he did today. Uh, you know, played catch through a flat ground, whatever his workload was for the day, for position players as well. So you don't have a lot of oversight in those very short tournaments. You're mostly just reporting back to their clubs,
Yeah.
and it's mandated, through Major League Baseball what the communication looks like. But we're standardizing for the first time across the whole organization because for national teams, you're not together that much. We got guys all over the place, guys in indie ball, guys in college, guys that are retired and trying to figure out how to ramp up and get ready to pitch, for a few weeks every summer. And so we're standardizing all that stuff right now, and using it like across the whole organization for the kids in Israel also. So that's one of the cool things that we're doing is, all the guys in the States, all the kids in Israel, they're all in the same database. They all have access to the same remote coaching tools, and the remote platforms that we're using. So it's one of the things we're working on right now.
Cool.
Nate, all of Major League Baseball has changed, with the analytical approach. And, from a catcher's perspective, I see it being the worst position on the field in Major League Baseball today because the catchers have gone to one knee. They say it's to give them a better opportunity to get low pitches called strikes. I don't believe that. I think a catcher can be flexible enough in a regular setup position to give a low target. We all know what that looks like. But I just cannot. I cannot buy into what they say is an improvement is really an improvement at the major league level. There's so many more pass balls, and there's so many more people getting in scoring position now, where the throwing percentages are down over 40% from what they were. You're in the teens now, 18 to 20%. You're a good throwing catcher, and I just don't understand it. I hope this isn't a program that takes over the WBC also at the same time, but because you've got to go back to the way that kept runners out of scoring position. And I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. Keep them out of scoring position, and you're going to win a lot more of those 1 and 2 run ball games. What's your take on that?
Yeah, the game has changed a lot because of analytics largely. We've sacrificed a lot of nuance because I think, teams are probably overvaluing velocity and power. And
Very
so
well said. I like that. Yeah, you're right.
And so, behind the plate, the style of catching has changed a lot. Whether it's the setup or that kind of snatch and drag it back to the middle that everyone's doing. The closer we move towards electronic strike zone, the less important receiving and defending in general is going to be. They're going to look for more offensive guys to put back there. That might be one of the reasons. As we look at the analytics, they might be saying, hey, I don't need a guy to throw out, 40% of the runners. I need someone that's going to hit, 15 home runs a year or whatever. And so that might be part of why we're seeing the percentage go down. We used to value guys that could really catch and throw so much. We're kind of like, it's okay if he doesn't hit much. But, we're realizing these couple of things have become themes in baseball, shifting on defense has become, obviously is an older trend now, but is valued. And it just took away a lot of the nuance of the game, and it just became about throw hard, hit bombs, and, be standing in the right place on defense.
Yeah. Good answer.
So, it's all due to analytics, honestly. Everyone's looking for some competitive advantage, and I can't blame them, but, we lost some aesthetic value for sure of the game.
That's why I think the World Baseball League has a good chance. I think a lot of people are a little tired of just watching a home run derby. All right, we got 1 minute left to do this. So it's word association. It's the fun stuff. First thing that pops into your mind, okay? Is Japan the most technically sound baseball in the world?
Yes.
Indians or Guardians?
Indians.
Best ballpark hot dogs?
Been a long time. I'll go with Jacobs Field.
It's pretty good. I know it's Cons Wieners. Best uniforms in the World Baseball Classic?
Great Britain 2023.
Best baseball announcer you ever heard, other than Rick? Have you heard Rick?
Kevin Youkilis.
Kevin Youkilis? He's your friend.
Kevin's pretty good.
Do the Browns win more than 10 next year?
No.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Okay. Bigfoot, real or fake?
No.
We ask everyone.
Fake, but I wish he was real.
Okay. That's a category we
it says a lot about a person.
Okay.
It says a lot about a person, whether they believe in that, right?
It does. Best mustache in Baltimore Oriole history.
Got to give it up for the man at the bottom of the screen.
Okay. Who wins the World Series this year? Dodgers. Rick, you've got the last word. Then you've got 30 seconds to deliver your final commentary. 30 seconds. Rick, you're
number one. I think it's going to be the Orioles, but the Yankees don't throw them out. I'm hoping that the Dodgers stay healthy enough to make it to a World Series. That would be very interesting. But overall, I just like to say, Nate, that I'm excited for you, man. Tell me how much of an impact all of the trouble that's going on in Israel right now is having on your thoughts about WBC. I mean, I want those people to be at a time where they can sit down and enjoy this baseball in America and really, I'm sure they love it and they want to see your team win. And I just would love for that to happen for them.
30 seconds or less.
Yeah. So look, it's a lot. We always have a lot of pride. There's some unique things about playing on Team Israel, with the security concerns and everything like that. But it's a very special team to play for, and we have a lot of pride doing it. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah. Nate Fish, thanks for jumping on. Rick, everybody, we'll see you next time.